format for this meeting is a film speaker meeting for prison TV to carry the message hope and recovery to incarcerated prisoners throughout the country. Tonight, please help me welcome our guest speaker, DJ. It's all yours now, brother.
Good evening. My name is DJ Cruse, and I am a grateful, recovering alcoholic addict. All right. How many alcoholic addicts we got out there tonight? All right. All right. How many of you guys have been to the penitentiary or? Yeah. All right. Anybody out there facing charges? All right. We're all going to pray for you tonight. All right. So, first of all, I want to say thank you for providing me the opportunity to share my story. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your guys' recovery, and I want to let you guys all know what an honor it is to be part of yours. So obviously this is a speaker meeting, and so I'm going to share a little bit about how it was, what happened, what it's like, and how it can be. All right? You guys interested in that? All right. All right, so my story, just so I can identify, my story started, well, I don't know how old I look, but it started quite a while ago for me, about knee-high to a jackrabbit. I grew up in the Badlands of Montana, and I don't know if I lived on that side of town or if it was just the town that I grew up in or I lived in. Some of my earliest memories were in a trailer house, and the cigarette smoke burned so thick that my little baby eyes was burning. And I remember bright lights, I remember dancing, carrying on, and of course the warmth of liquor was there. And one of my earliest memories was I thought it was a holiday like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I don't know, every day was a holiday where I came from. There was partying, right? They were celebrating their form of life, right? And then as they were celebrating their form of life in the best way they could, they were drinking. So, knee-high to a jackrabbit, I took my first couple drinks. And I don't know if it was champagne or if it was wine, but it was sweet and it was warm, and I remember the way it felt on my lips, on my tongue, and I remember the warmth in my belly. And I loved it from a very young age. I grew up in a bar. My mom was a barmaid, a pretty little barmaid behind the bar. My dad was a rough and tumble cowboy type guy. They call them roughnecks out in the oil field, right? He drilled for oil, and I thought the essence of a man was to work hard, party hard, drink hard, and have a pretty little girl behind the bar serving him drinks, right? I thought that was the essence of what a man was. That the success of a man, he worked hard, he drank hard, and he could fight, right? And and he could shoot pool. And as a little bitty dude, I could probably shoot pool when I was knee-high to the pool table. Well, about eye level, let's say. I could probably shoot pool better then than I can now, all right? And so growing up in a bar, thinking that drinking and fighting and everything that goes along with it was the essence of success. I was probably 3, 6, 12, going on 36 my whole life, all right? So we bounced around the country a little bit. I went from Montana to Colorado to Washington. And let me ask you guys this right now. How many of you guys felt like an alien growing up? All right. Well, I felt like an alien that seriously didn't have no roots, from Montana to Colorado to Washington, and then finally down here to South Central Arizona. I'm from a small town, Arizona City, Casa Grande, Eloy area. There wasn't a whole... I knew I recognized you, man. I knew I recognized you. There wasn't a whole lot going on, and I lived about 5 miles away from the reservation. And, man, by the time I was old enough to drive, I knew almost every dirt road from there to Mexico and back. And, you know, I'm convinced that I'm convinced that I'm an alcoholic, because really, experimenting growing up, drinking and stuff, I really only got drunk one time when I was 12. And it was all it took. I knew that I was a bona fide alcoholic. When I was sobered up, I was 30 years old in the Department of Corrections. Right? And I still got, how many times have I been here, and how much longer do I got to go? Right? Yeah, so let's rewind the tape to about, let me start the timer. They said I'm timed here. Okay, about the time I was 12, I really got, maybe when I was 11 or so, I was already, fighting bullies, and I felt like an alien, and I overcompensated with violence, and I got beat up pretty bad one time on the school bus, right? And I picked a fight with this 8th grader. I was in 4th grade, so however old the 4th grader is. And of course he whooped me, right? He put a lump on the size of my forehead, about the size of Idaho, and I didn't let it go. I didn't let it go. That next summer, we were he's my best friend's older brother. That next summer we were at a house, and when I got reunited with alcohol, I found some little citrus twist flavored vodkas up in the cupboard of somebody's house, right? 3 little shots. That's all I took. I took one, I was like, woo! Took another one, woo! Hey, by the time I took that 3rd one, I had my targets on. You know what I mean? I was looking at him. And I jumped on him like a spider monkey. I bit the back of his neck, bro, and I boxed his ears in. And we landed so hard that the fan fell off the roof of the bottom apartment, and that was the manager, right? And I was like, man, I found the love of my life. I don't feel like an alien no more, right? I got revenge, and man, what was that stuff again? Citrus twist flavored vodka. Man, that's my jam right there. And so I soon found out that Pabst Blue Ribbon had that jam. I was a little kid on a paper route, right? A little paper route. And this old man used to drink Old Milwaukee, right? He pretty much was sharing it with me, because every time I drive by, I'd drive me. Oh, yeah. Testing, 1, 2. So he started sharing that beer with me, because every time I'd deliver his paper, I'd come right back around after he picked up his paper. I'd go get me a couple Old Milwaukees. All right, now I'm only 11, 12, right around then. And I was introduced to, alcohol. And then, I took a couple tokes off some marijuana, right? And it opened up a nice gateway for me. And I started meeting some older kids that I could get a little bit of pot. And then all of a sudden I was introduced, 1993, I was introduced to crystal meth, right? And crystal meth was a little bit different in 1993. It was called crank back then, and it was like pink champagne or lemon drop, and it's some, what I thought, man, this is good stuff. Well, I was only in 6th grade, so the first time I seen shadow people, I was in 6th grade. And when you're in 6th grade seeing shadow people, there ain't a whole lot of people that you can share that knowledge with, because they just don't understand. All right, so here I am in middle school, up 3 days, thinking about, man, what am I doing here with these kids? Man. And so I thought, well, maybe they want to do a little bit of crank too, man. So I brought some of that crystal meth to school, man, and they didn't want to do no crystal meth, let alone, and I didn't want to give them none. I wanted them to buy it from me, right? So when they didn't, so these, I was just like, man, these are not my people. Hey, so I went from being a 6th grade middle school student, playing flag football and stuff, to, drinking, and I finally got my own apartment in between the summer of 7th and 8th grade, or 8th grade and 9th grade. I can't really remember. It was such a haze, all that crystal meth, and I got introduced to crack cocaine, 14 years old. I had an apartment in a little town, it's called Talltech, right out of Eloy. and there was these little blue apartments behind this this little firehouse, and a couple of my partners lived there. Well, this is the kind of neighborhood, if you left your apartment alone, like the neighbors are getting in your apartment, right? And so, you know, they were running from the law or whatever, and I come from a long line of alcoholics and boozers and outlaws myself, so it was like, you want me to watch your house? Man, I'll watch your house. And that gave me like an apartment, right? So as they're out running from the law, ducking and dodging, I got me an apartment. And I get me a job in the cotton fields, right? They call it the La Salon. So I'm walking up and down the rows, chopping morning glories. I learned my first Spanish word, way, right? Like, I weigh. Well, anyway, so pretty soon, man, I start picking up what they putting down. I'm learning the lingo, and I learned that if I could roll my R's a little bit, I start getting double ups, triple ups. And, man, I wasn't even sure I was white till I hit the joint, right? And, man, I like que pues, muchate. Muchate. You know, I'm not supposed to cuss right now, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to tone it down just a little bit. All right, so I'm working, and I start learning about cocaine and crack, and my buddies now, I hang out with bar flies, you know, older women that pretty much spend their time on a bar stool, and dudes that are in their 20s. I'm 14, and I go out at night and I rob, or, you know, I just like out raping and pillaging. I'm robbing cars and I'm breaking into sheds and I'm bringing all kinds of loot back to the homies, right? And they're like, man, I'm getting big old bags of crack cocaine, and they're like, hey, homito, hey. And they're like, here, go watch the door, eh? And I'm out there with my knife, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I get the honor of watching the door. They in there smoking my crack. Right? I went and got that stuff. Okay, so then I didn't even, right there and there, I didn't realize that there was a problem, right? I just need to go get some more loot, man, so I could watch the door. And shh. You know what I'm saying? Look out the window, man. And so, you know, that was the way my life was. I was hustling. I was out grinding. I didn't sleep, but when I fell down, and I get back up, I learned how to get back up. I learned how to fall down on my back so I could get back up, right? And I learned how to fail forward from a young age, man. If it didn't work the first time, I'd kick it and kick it and kick it again. The doors are opening, right? Well, they was opening and opening and opening until they finally locked one and shut one. And in the fall of 1998, I got my prison number 139644, right? And I must have been, heck, I think I was 16 years old. I went to Rincon Miners in Tucson, and I made that decision because I had the 3 years of probation, right, and a misdemeanor, or go get my number and get out in 6 months. I was like, man, that's a no-brainer. Give me my blue shirt, man. I'm going. And that was like how it was my whole, like, I don't know if it was a childhood or what you would call it, but it wasn't like if I went to prison, it was like, well, when I go to prison, right? That's the way anybody relate? Yeah, so that's how it was. And I met my first cool dudes, right when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old, and they was slung down from the head down, and I thought, man, that dude's my hero. And, so ultimately I picked somebody I wanted to be like, man, and I tried my best to be like them. And, it worked out about as well as it could for me, I guess, about as well as God wanted it to, because I was pretty dang successful in every endeavor I set out upon. And so as of today, I've spent a little less than 15 years of my life incarcerated in the Arizona Department of Corrections. And you know what? You said there's some guys out here that have been to the Department of Corrections, right? All right. Now, how many of them actually got some, they call it the Department of Corrections. How much correction was actually there? All right, not a whole heck of a lot. All right, so at one point in the game, right, I was there on my fourth sentence. I was there on my fourth sentence. I did a 6-month sentence, then a year and a half, then a 4.5, and then I got sentenced to 9, right? And I was like, man, when they gave me that 10-year sentence, I was like, man, finally I got a man sentence, right? I wasn't even deterred. I was fully committed, and I had thought at that point in time there was a year or two in there, a few months, years. I don't know how many years, but definitely a few more than a few days. I was 100% fully resigned to possibly spending my whole rest of my life in the Department of Corrections, right? And the party didn't stop when they locked me up. I stopped long enough for me to get a nap and get a plan and get some things together, right? And on my fourth sentence, about September, I know the date, September 19th, 2011, I right a little bit before that, a couple months, I had woke up on this prison run in Cheyenne out in Yuma. Anybody ever been out to Yuma? Yeah, I love Yuma, man. It's been about a good 10 years of my life out there. And I was looking down that run, and I woke up one day, I was like, man, I got to do 7.5 more years of this? And I was like, that was when... I'm going to spare the details for the sake of the camera and the audience and all that who might come and see, but a few different things had unfolded recently before that, where I had been 100% committed to spending the rest of my life incarcerated, and then a few things unfolded, and one day I was in that run, back there in that run, and this young black man, old black man was walking down the run, and he says, "Say here," and I'm like, oh, here we go, and because me and this guy, we didn't talk at all. This is how we talked. I mean, it was 10 to 10, shut the up, and shut it down, right? And he said, "Say here, son, come on over here, come here on the hit, sit down here for a minute," and I'm like, looking at his bed, right? And he's wanting me to sit down on his bed. And any of y'all been there, you know that don't generally happen, right? But he's like an old man, and I got a lot of respect for him, and there ain't nobody on the run. I'm like, you know what? He's meaning business right now, and I bet to sit my young butt down, right? So I go ahead and I sit down, all uncomfortable, and he says, "You see, I've been fighting this case here since 1986. I got 3 lives stacked and 36 more to go after that." He said, "Now, if back in 1986 somebody would have told me what I was finna face in the paperwork I was about to catch behind it, you see there's about 50 pounds under my bed, I might not be sitting here living only to fight another day." He said, "So I don't know what you're going through, I don't know what you're going to do, and I don't know what you're thinking about doing, but you's a young man. And I would suggest you sit down there on your bed now and you'd say you a little prayer or something. And if you just sleep on what you're thinking about, maybe tomorrow you won't have to, just fight to just live another day." And that hit me like a ton of bricks because he didn't know, he didn't know the details about nothing. But my higher power, my God, his God, put something upon his heart that spoke to mine, right? I had like one of them moments in life, a real true God shot, right? So I I took it in, and things didn't work. I was such in my own will and trying to create my environment and try to just impose myself and my will and my ideology and my policies upon everything around me that I was pretty shooken up about this because I had a pretty convicted I was down for the pound, and I had created this reality, this convoluted false reality inside of my head that protected the twisted and distorted reality in which I had to live. I had to survive a certain way. I wanted certain outcomes. And I created a perception of reality inside my head that was pretty hard to unbend, right? And he kind of just rattled my cage, and when things didn't work out my way, and it was like I was saved almost. I was saved from a life that had landed me behind bars for, potentially the rest of my life, right? So, can you guys pick up what I'm putting down? All right. Okay, so you guys identify I'm an alcoholic addict. I had been through a lot of similar things that you guys may or may not have been through, but you understand what I'm saying, right? All right, so about that point in time, I found a spiritual expression, right? I found a circle of men that were practicing, we wouldn't call it Christianity, but they were practicing some of their higher power, right? And I had no doubt that my God was speaking through them, right? So how many of you guys have looked to the left or looked to the right and had a conversation and knew that you were speaking to God, right? Okay, you just feel it, like it's in your heartbeat, it pounds. You know, my heart pounds and your heart pounds. We know that we're beating to the same drum, right? We're dancing to the same drum. And I could feel it, tingles up and down my body. I knew that something was changing inside of me. So then that bumped me up to September 19, 2011. I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna quit using drugs forever, if I'm gonna quit drinking forever, but I ain't gotta be strong every day, but I do gotta be strong today. So I wrote it down on my wall, hung it up, and I didn't promise myself, I didn't promise anybody. I just told myself I'm gonna quit doing drugs for a little while, I'm gonna quit drinking for a little while. I didn't want to quit drinking. I love drinking. I love listening to George Strait, and I like to sing all night long. And if I could find somebody that'll listen to me, man, the more the merrier, right? You guys feel me? Love it, man. Man, my best drinking buddy was a radio, 808 track. John Connolly, rose-colored glasses, man. And so I gave alcohol a break, and I gave George Strait a break. All them old outlaws a break. And I went into myself, man, and I found some solace within, and I found my higher power, and I found a group of men that were willing to support me in my sobriety, and they were willing to believe in me even if I didn't believe in myself, right? And would you guys like to hear about the spiritual awakening? It looked like we got some time. Okay. 30 minutes? Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about a spiritual awakening. I don't always share this because it is it's pretty intimate to me, and you know, not everybody's going to have a burning bush moment. But I had one, man. I had one, and I've had several. And I'll share with you guys my first one. So I was walking up the run. It was 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, and I'm walking up that prison run in Cheyenne, and I had been clean for a couple months. This is like in October, and I was, you know, how many of you guys had the little demon on one side, the little angel on the other, having a conversation, and I'm like, man, DJ Cruse, you never told nobody you weren't gonna stop shooting drugs. Even your own mama know that you shoot drugs, and everybody around me had to be okay with what I did if they want me to be in their life. And I bring prizes. Right? If I come knocking, everybody's getting something, everybody's in, right? And I thought up in this point in time, I loved everybody, and they loved me. Till I went to prison, there was no one else there except my bros, right? Except my peeps on the run. So believe I loved all y'all, because, you know, we were there together. And, but now at this point in my life, was feeling kind of alone, and I was walking up the run, and I see my essay partners over on the side. They were getting right for the morning, and, you know I'm real good with them, man. I'm in the car. I could build the little chingaders, man. And that was like part of my gig, part of my hustle, my survival, right? And they said, and I heard in my head, DJ, your own mama knows you get high. You don't even listen to your mom. What do you mean you're not going to get high? You're done getting high. All right, well, I already told you guys that I was from Montana, right? How many of you guys been to Montana? Anybody been to Montana? So you guys know about the big skyscape state, the big cumulus clouds that go on forever, right? All right, well, when I was a little baby boy, I used to have this reoccurring nightmare. And I'm going to say that, tell you that to say a little something else. I used to have this reoccurring nightmare that I was in a dungeon, right, with my mom. And my mom's in a rocking chair, and I'm like on a little stool next to her, and there's some hay, and there's a fireplace, and she got a little babe suckling off the teat, right? And but there ain't no door. There is no door in the dungeon. And so I had this trapped feeling from a very young age, and I was in this dungeon, and I used to wake up crying night after night after night being in this dungeon. All right, now I'm walking up this prison run, having this debacle in my head, whether I want to get high or I don't want to get high, and this is like a cry for freedom. All right, so in my mind's eye, I have this vision, and I'm in the big sky state of Montana, and I look upon the clouds. I see this eagle just wafting in the sky, right? And it comes down, it comes down, it comes down, hits this body of water, right? And it's like hit this duck out of water, and I was like, y'all ever watch the Discovery Channel? Like be stuck on that, right? Well, this was like Nat Geo, up close and personal. Like this is like world. I'm watching it, right? And so I wasn't in prison. I wasn't in the past or the future. I was watching this eagle, and this eagle is like, man, I was just thinking in my head, man, this eagle is like at the top of the food chain of any natural known predators. I know of none, right? So I was just like, man, that was just a beautiful moment inside of, and I didn't even know it was inside of my head because it was like a real moment. I lived this moment, right? And I was like just in a state of awe, but then on a turn of a coin, I was back in that dungeon that I was in when I was a child, right? I'm 3 years old again, sitting on that little stool, like a little three-legged stool next to my mama in a rickety lawn chair, a rocking chair with that little baby, the rats, the hay, the fire, the no door. Except now, in my vision, there's a cage, right? A beautiful silver and gold adorned cage, a big cage. There's jewels on it, there's a door open, and it looked like just old prison bars, you know, from a gallery. You know, the ones, the classic prison bars. It looked like that. It was a beautiful cage, door open, eagle inside. Eagle about 3 foot tall, all wilted, eyes wilted over, feathers falling out, going like this. All right, and I'm like, I'm heartbroken. I'm like, man, I never liked bullies, man. You know what I mean? Remember the lump the side of the Idaho, all of that stuff? Man, I had it out for bullies since way back, and I thought to myself, man, who would do this to this majestic creature? Who would do this to this bird? And I realized that this bird was like high, man. It was on methadone too, man. It was on some shit, right? And I realized right then and there that anytime I stuck a needle in my body or I drank any type of form of alcohol, that this is what happened to the bird. I did this to the bird. So I realized right then and there that there's me and this bird has some soul ties, right? Like our livers are bound. Yeah. So anytime I put anything like that, any foreign substance into my body, not only do I kill the flame, but I kill the bird. And so I began to record that, right? I licked the tip of my pencil and I put it to paper and I went on the inside. How many of you guys have read Bola's Off's Free on the Inside? All right, well, right then and there, I began to record the flight of the eagle, right? And the flight of the eagle, just on that alone, I stayed sober, clean and sober. I didn't drink or do drugs for about 5 years, 9 months, right? All right, 5 years, 9 months, I stayed clean just on that alone. All right, well, on one of my excursions out beyond the wire, out into the, back into town, I was in Tucson. I used to go to Tucson every time I got out of prison. And one of the times I went to prison, I had to go to a halfway house, right? Me and a couple of my buddies went to Tucson. And we took over this halfway house, right? And they wanted me to go to 90 and 90, right? How many of you guys did do that? All right. Well, I didn't like that stuff. I went down with 90 and 90, man. And I had this paper. I had to go take it to the meetings, and I had to get it signed, signatures and stuff. I didn't like that stuff, man. And one of the first meetings I went to was a street. It was on Pima Street, as a matter of fact. at a place called the Alano Club down in Tucson. And back then they smoked cigarettes inside the meetings, right? It was alcoholics meetings for men. Yeah. And I wasn't, I was not interested in that. And one of the first speaker was an old white guy, right, with a suit and cowboy hat up behind a podium just like this, talking about, if I drink again, you might as well get that shovel up out the back of my Cadillac and dig me a hole, because I'm gonna die. I was like, oh, no. If this is sobriety, right, I don't want none of it, because this is like, I'm gonna die. I'm like, you dead, homie. You already dead, bro. I mean, you dead. Oh, Dusty. Oh, we're just gonna call you Dusty, bro, because you're dead. Right? And so then, man, I got, I pulled out I pulled out my pen and I started signing my own meetings, right? Yeah. Here, give me a red pen. Yeah, how does that, let me see your paper, man. Yeah, all right. So I started running my own meetings, right? All right, well, then they wanted me to get a sponsor too, right? I was like, man, I can't fake a sponsor. You know what I mean? I can't sign my sponsors, man. They want to see someone showing up, man. So I'm like, dang. All right, man. So if I'm going to get a sponsor, I better get a mean dude, man, because I'm 23 years old and I think I'm big, I'm bad, and I know it all, right? I was going 12, going on 36 my whole life. At this point in time, I was only 23, but I was still like 36, right? And my ego was big, my head was big, and, I thought I was it, man, number one, too cool for school. Well, so I go to this meeting. This is a fireside meeting. This is a co-ed meeting. Dusty wasn't there, man. Dusty was not at this meeting, right? There were no old white dudes in suits at this meeting, right? I'm like, okay. Oh, man, there's girls too. I was like, okay. Heck. So I sit down, I pick out my sponsor, I pick out the meanest, biggest, baddest dude there, and of course he's chairing the meeting, and I looked over, man, and I was like, I seen old Bambi herself. Blue eyeshadow, red lipstick, big hair, and I was like, okay, I can do these meetings, man. So all of a sudden, man, I'm doing 90 and 90, right? I'm doing 90 and 90. I'm taking my little paper, and I'm going to meetings, and, hey, how many of y'all heard about the 12 Steps Alcoholics Anonymous, right? You guys heard of it? Yeah. All right, how many of y'all heard about the 13th step? Okay, man. So let me warn you about this 13th step. She almost killed my whole AA experience, all right? Dang near just almost killed sponsorship. All right, so now I get back. Things didn't really work out that great, for me. And sponsorship, he didn't really dig all that, his sponsee and his girlfriend. But I was getting my 90 and 90, and yeah, so things really didn't work out for me a whole lot in regards to all that, and I let AA go for a few years, and then, but back here we go back to September 19, 2011, a couple months past that, spiritual, flight of the eagle type stuff was happening. I'm in prison, moving and grooving. I quit selling drugs. I quit trying to enforce my will upon others, and I kind of went into myself, right? I went into myself. I wasn't in prison. I wasn't outside of prison. I was taking vows of silences. How many of you guys took a vow of silence? All right, man. Well, when you got you've got a problem right here with the mouth and the tongue, or anything going on behind it, I recommend taking a vow of silence. All right, so I started working on myself on the inside, and at some point in time, I was introduced to myself, like by myself, and I found out that I'm okay. All right, since I started feeling that like I'm okay, I remember back and I went to an AA meeting one day, right? Because I was still clean off the flight of the eagle, and I didn't know what my life wanted to look like. I didn't know what my life looked like, but I knew that you know, they had AA meetings in the air-conditioned room, and I could talk with dudes on the other side of the yard. And when I went to that AA meeting in prison, I realized that I like the readings. I like the you know what I mean? The ritual. The ritual is a ritual, right? Whether you're mixing up puddles and keeping point, or you're, right? Hey, you're with your people that you care most about, you know what I'm saying? Lined up, line up, you know what I mean? You're doing your thing, all right? Well, I realized that I like the readings. And what I like, too, is I like my fellow man, I like my dudes. And I like going to this meeting once a week. And I like trading and bartering, just little bits and truths of the, like, freedom, and the eternal truths about how to get there. And faith without works is death, right? And it didn't matter if you're Native American, it didn't matter if you're white, black, Mexican, well, no matter what color you are, purple, white, blue, man, if you can show up at this meeting and sit in a circle with your peers and your fellows and just talk about inner peace and inner freedom, hey, for like 1 hour the whole week I find reprieve, right? So I start chairing those AA meetings in prison, right? And I call this portion of my story the DJ Cruse program. Because I wasn't doing the AA program, I was doing the DJ Cruse program, right? And I was using the readings in the room and, you know, some of the book, right? Because I dang sure didn't believe in sponsorship. See how that happened to me in the past, right? 13th step, me, I out the game almost on that. So I use this, I use that, right? And I didn't really use the steps. I got me a little blue book like this, right? And my blue book back then wasn't as used as it is now. You know, it's pretty well worn now. It's because I don't know what I'm doing. And so how much time we got here?
13 minutes.
All right, it's about time for me to get into the solution. All right, so I was heading towards the solution the whole time. It just took me a little bit of time, right? All right, so I find reprieve. I like the readings. I like going and trading bits and pieces of the eternal truth with my fellow humans, my fellow guys, right? And the lovers of the light, man, because we're just chasing eternal freedom. I found freedom on the inside. I found freedom on the outside from finding freedom on the inside, because I didn't waste since September 19, 2011 to December 14, 2017, I didn't waste a single day of my time in prison, right? I invested every single day of my time into me, right? I began to work on me. I began to read books. I began to, practice my altruism, the best of my capabilities behind the fence, right? And then finally, December 14, 2017, I wasn't clean my last year in prison. Okay, so I might have to take the pencil out, turn it upside down, and retract 365 days into my internal investment, all right? Because I fell off the wagon sometime a year before I got out, and I got drunk and high every single day of my last year of incarceration. Finally, December 14, 2017, they kicked me out from Buckeye, right? They kicked me out from Maury, like home. They kicked me out, like my release date, and I didn't believe it, because I had once again resigned myself to a possibility of never getting out, right? And, they kicked me out. So, after about 3 hours of getting my fix and getting me a shot and getting me a line, I hit the gate, and I was a mess. And I went to Glendale, Arizona, and went to my buddy's mom's house, and she put up with my stuff, and I got me a great job as a salesman, because I could run my neck, right? And got me a pretty good job on the phone. I got a truck, I got a license, and got insurance, all the stuff that, you need to be, successful out here. I went home every night at 9 o'clock, and but I was a mess, right? I am a CMA meeting, right? Crystal Meth Anonymous. All right, so how many of you guys know about Lonely Nights, Vaseline, and a cell phone? Yeah, right? So this is where I had found myself, alone, scared, lubed up, alone, with a cell phone that keeps slipping out of my hands. right? And thank to goodness it doesn't burn up like my ones in prison did if I keep it on for too long. This one will go all night, right? I love it. But I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm tired, and thankfully, I had a great parole officer, man. Like, there's something called 25 and 10. They're trying to reduce recidivism by 25% within 10 years. And I'm a believer because my parole officer looked at me with love and compassion in her eyes and told me, David, your life is out of control and unmanageable. I was like, the you mean? I got a job, I got a truck, I got insurance, and lady, I even have a driver's license. I'm like, this is the best I've ever done in my whole life. You're telling me unmanageable. She's like, David, you haven't passed a single UA since you've been out. I'm like, I got a job with the same P I gave you. What are you talking about? She says, yeah, well, you might have got me on that one, but the rest of them, you've been drinking. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? It's alcohol. They sell it at Circle K. Right? They sell it at Circle K. And she's like, yeah, but you ain't supposed to be drinking. You're on parole. You signed a paper that said you weren't going to drink. I'm like, who cares? I signed it. My CO3 told me I had to sign it so I can get out. She's like, yeah, but them are your agreements of conditions of parole. I'm like, y'all didn't care about me drinking when I was in prison. Why do you care about me drinking out here? I go to work and I pay taxes. I'm paying your bills, lady. And she is like, oh, heck no, man. So me and her go back and forth a little bit, and I end up at this great place called Maricopa Reentry Center out here on I-17 to Pinnacle Peak, right? You guys heard about the place? Well, it's a great rehab, man. It's a great rehab for men on parole that are doing technical violations. And I had to go do 3 days, and then they want me to go do 30 days, and I talked my way out of it. They put an alcohol monitor on me, and I couldn't talk my way out of that. You know, it busted me every time. And so I ended up going back over there. I had to spend 120 days there. All right, while I was there, man, some of these good fellas out here in the neighborhood, they brought in a step workshop, right? And let me tell you guys, I didn't want nothing to do with no step workshop. I didn't want nothing to do with no sponsor. You know what happened to me and my last sponsor, right? Yeah, not good. And so they brought in a step workshop, and they worked they went through steps 1 through 12. And, you know, they didn't get me on none of them, right? But they introduced me to a guy named Estel, right? And there was about 12 guys from the community that came out there. J-Dale, I appreciate you being there. And got introduced to this guy named Estel Wallace, man, and he took me through the steps. And I swear, man, we used to walk in the lap on that little 1 yard over there, or 0 yard, or whatever it is. And man, I was so serious about this, man. Man, I got down on my one knee and asked him if he'd be my sponsor. He's like, "What do you mean? Get up, man! What are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is how serious I am, man. I need help." He's like, "Get up! Don't let no one see you down there, man. What are you doing?" Hey, so I get up. I'm just like, "This is how serious I want you to let you know, man. I'm an eagle. I'm an eagle." He's like, "Well, you surrounded by pigeons." So, man, I'm like, "Man, them are just guys like me just trying to make it just like me, man." And he goes, "Yeah, you talk about it. Let me see you be about it." And so from there, I found out a place called Hope Lives down here in Central Phoenix. And I started taking this forensic peer support specialist training class, right? Forensic means justice involved. And so I ended up taking a class with the county. How many of you guys have heard of Jim's Thinking Report? Yeah, man, thinking for a change, right? All right, well, man, I'm a certified, bona fide, certified member of facilitators here in Maricopa County, Arizona. It was just me and a bunch of parole officers and probation officers taking this class. My partner in crime, sitting next to me, he did not feel comfortable. I'm like, "Man, this is where we need to be. If we're gonna help our people, this is where we need to be." All right, man, I'm gonna lead Jim's Thinking Report, right? Me and this probation officer over here. She ain't gonna teach us nothing. And anyways, man, God bless their hearts, man. God bless, their hearts. They're trying, man. Parole's trying, probation's trying, and they really are not trying to send us back to the Department of Corrections, right? And if we utilize our time to the best of our abilities, we can actually, basically turn the Department of Corrections into a department where we can do some at least self-correcting, right? Now, so I got out here, and I tell you guys, man, I am about living the best life. I don't want to tell you how cool it is because I want you guys to experience it yourself, but I'm letting you know that somebody told me that I better keep my name good out here, right? I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, keep your body count low. I'm like, what does that mean? They's like, no 13th stepping, DJ. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember what happened to me. And so to this day, I go to very few meetings where it's co-ed. I stick to men's meetings. I work with men. I call my sponsor every day. I got sponsees that allow me the privilege of taking them through this book, right? Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And, man, my book is so worn out, it is falling apart, man. Because I take so many dudes up to the 4th step. And then a lot of them fall off. But there's about half a dozen men that have been through the book and they call me. And there's about another half a dozen that have been through the book and they don't call me. And I've been to more funerals out here than I have weddings. And there's been 3 people that died this month that were close to me. And it's been real tough. And they're dying from the same disease and the same sickness that I have. And I ain't no different than them. And the only difference is I take my daily prescription of medication that I have found to fight the disease of alcoholism. How many alcoholics addicts we got out here? I'm going to tell you right now, guys, that there is a solution. There is a solution for it, right? And it is real simple. And I'm such a dump that I can't tell you exactly what it is, right? But I can tell you that within these 12 steps right here, right? This page has been used so much it falls out of my book, right? They're lined out, simple 12 steps. And right here in this book, it lines it out every single step, right? So if you guys will get a sponsor, right? Just listen, take suggestion from another man, do exactly what he says, right? And they said, well, go in that room, DJ, and whoop that dude. I went in there and I whooped that dude, right? With blind faith, right? Wrong or indifferent. I believe that it was right, right? So with the same blind faith, I just go through these steps here. I can't even remember every time what I'm supposed to do, so I'm like, well, it says here, chapter 5, how it works. And I just read right out of the book because I can't remember what it says. And I just keep reading. It keeps me in the book. The other day, my friend died. My sponsor told me, well, he died so you didn't have to. So, guys, this is a very serious illness. This is a very serious disease. There's men out there that are losing their lives, that lost their lives in this neighborhood probably tonight to this disease, alcoholism. In whatever form it comes from or comes in, we've all here agreeably, we've all partaken of it. And there is a solution. It's a simple solution, and it's found within this book. And I give you guys my word that it's worked for me. This dumb dude, man, that had been going in and out of prison since 1998. I've done a lot of harm. I've hurt a lot of people. I've made some bad decisions. But I'm not a piece of shit. Excuse my language. I'm not a bad person. I've done some foolish things. I've made some bad decisions. Made not the best decisions. But every decision that I have made has led up to the solution. And they call these my sacred wounds. You men out here have sacred wounds. So don't allow them wounds to be for naught. Use your wounds. Use the things that you have been through to help the next man. Because everything you've been through hasn't been for nothing. There's people out here that love you. And the community, if you're incarcerated, let me tell you this. The community wants you out here. They want you out here. And they accept us.
and they'll love us and provide us the support that we need and the love that we need to make it. I will give you my word. I give you my word that it is real out here. It's happening. The community wants us out here. They need good men out here to carry the message. And with that, guys, I'm going to, I want you guys to repeat a few words after me. Pray. Pray. Meditate. Meditate. Grind. Grind. Rinse. Rinse. Repeat. Repeat. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. I want a little bit more vigor. Pray. Pray. Meditate. Meditate. Grind. Grind. Rinse. Rinse. Repeat. Repeat. Okay, now we're just going to do it one more time. Okay? Pray. Pray. Meditate. Meditate. Grind. Grind. Rinse. Rinse. Repeat. Repeat. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to pray for you guys tonight. I love you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your recovery, and I want to thank you. I want to let you know from the depth of my heart that I love and appreciate you guys' struggle. And we're going to pray, meditate, grind, rinse, repeat together. With that, I'll pass.